Right, so what are the worst possible money traps in your 30s or even 20s? Well, let's dive deep into them. So, the first one is not doing any financial planning. In your 20s, most of your energy goes into education, finding a job, and making ends meet. But by your 30s, you should usually earn more and have savings potential. But many actually delay formal planning because they think, well, I'm not really making that much right now, and especially in the 20s, I'll just do it later. But this is extremely dangerous because without a plan, money tends to slip away into lifestyle inflation. You spend more money, you feel more stable, but you're not actually building towards retirement or financial independence. So, what you have to do instead is create a budget and automate savings. Define financial goals. What do you want to do? Down payments for your house, investments, retire early. You have to plan for this. It's not going to just magically happen. Also, build an emergency fund. That's what Dave Ramsey suggests. Most financial planners suggest having at least a 3 to 6 month expenses, if you can, even more, to prepare for worst possible times. And also start investing consistently, even in small amounts. If you are a big spender and you can't manage your money, just create another bank account, make an automated payment to that other account of yours, which you don't have a credit card for. You can't spend money from that account directly, and it's just used to keep your money away from spending. And then sometimes you can log in, make some investments, and log out. And that's you keep your money away from you to be able to spend it. Second of all is buying too much house. People think, well, the house is a great investment, but the problem is stretching your budget to get your dream house with a large mortgage actually is not that good, especially today in 2025 with rates that go anywhere from 4 to 7% depending on where you live, compared to a few years ago they went from 1 to 3%, again depending on when you live, where you lived in the world. So that debt actually costs far more than it used to. So this is extremely dangerous because monthly payments actually eat into savings and investing. There's less flexibility in case of job loss, relocation, or emergencies. You might find yourself way worse off if you have a big mortgage. And property values, they don't always rise as fast as people or internet financial gurus and real estate gurus make you think. So what you should do instead is just buy a house that you can comfortably afford, not what just what the bank approves, because the bank is going to give you anything as long as you're going to be able to pay it now. But you have to look for the smallest possible house in the best neighborhood that you can, or even in upcoming areas. If a builder is building new houses, they may cost less. Not always, but they may cost less. Matter of fact, in my area, they actually tend to cost more than older houses. But yeah, you want to keep an eye on that. Don't ignore renting also if it's cheaper in your situation. Or if it's more feasible for you. You might not want to live where you are for the rest of your life. So in that case, if you just want to stay a couple years, maybe renting is the better option. Owning is not always financially superior. Point three is buying flashy new cars. Big trap. People, when they get a raise or a bonus, they tend to reward themselves if they're not financially disciplined with a brand new car, which is a very, very expensive item. And luxury cars, especially, lose about 30% of their value when you drive them off the lot. So it's just bad to buy a car, especially a very nice car, because it suffers from massive depreciation. I mean, think about it: a $50,000 car may be worth 35,000 after just a year. And also, an expensive car pays higher insurance, taxes, and maintenance, and only provides a short-lived emotional high. I mean, I have a colleague of mine, which as soon as he got hired as a pilot, he bought this Tesla Model Y Performance. I think he paid something like almost 70,000 for it. And now, a few years after, he's actually moving to another company and has to relocate. He's selling it for 45K. I mean, that's a huge loss after a few years. So not a good idea. You just want to buy a reliable used car, preferably in the range of 2 to 5 years old, and that range is really important because after about 3 years, most of the depreciation, or at least the fastest depreciation, will have happened. The car will still depreciate, but not quite as fast. Also, cars tend to always depreciate unless it's a really particular expensive model. So you just don't want to spend too much money on a new, particularly on a new car. I'm not saying you should not buy a nice car. I mean, if you're really, 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 really into cars, I guess you could just spend a little bit more on a car, but then you have to cut on other areas of your life, like restaurants, bars, or even your house. And that brings us to the next point, number 4, overspending on your lifestyle. You got a higher income, you are a higher spender, and I'm actually guilty of this because I do spend quite a lot of money on restaurants, Uber Eats, drinks, trips, and new clothes also, but especially on restaurants. I mean, but it comes with my job. I travel a lot for work. A lot of times I don't sleep in my own house, so I have to eat in a restaurant, and that I can't do anything about. But what I could do is maybe try to find cheaper restaurants, maybe go to the supermarket, buy prepared stuff if it's there. But if you can't, like me, and you just have to spend money on restaurants because you travel a lot, then again, you gotta cut on other areas of your life. Why is this dangerous? It's because they are very small costs. They are very small, relatively small costs compared to, say a car or a mortgage, but they are a lot. And in a month, they could really add up. By living this lifestyle, you actually do feel richer, but you don't actually build wealth. Again, it's like the car that my friend, this guy, this colleague, he bought this nice car. He's always out dining, making his life look flashy. But trust me, he has no money. He has no money. He has to work for his money, which I hope one day I won't have to do that anymore. I'll work just because I want to and I have fun doing it, not because I need money. So what do you do instead? Set a monthly fun budget for eating out and entertainment, or even you could go to an extreme and use cash, put it into prepaid envelopes, and when it's gone, it's gone. You can't do any more restaurants for the month. Also, you want to be careful and cancel unused subscriptions, because this is not only about restaurants, it's also about Netflix, Disney Plus, Spotify, any kind of subscription that you have that you might not be using or be using as much. For example, I have Netflix. This is making me think that I have Netflix and I don't actually watch movies on Netflix. I rarely watch movies at all, so I should probably just cancel that. Also, another cost that you might have is credit cards, which is another subscription if your credit cards is expensive. And this brings us to the next point, overusing credit cards. I mean, I have an American Express I made a few years ago. It was free for the first year, it's American Express Gold, but now I have to pay 20 euros per month just to own it, and I'm basically not using it at all. So this is a very, very stupid thing to have. I had to, I'm going to cancel it right away as I finish this video today, because these credit cards, they give you perks, cash back, airline miles, and whatnot, and points, but these things are not very tangible or concrete perks. They don't give you money back. They usually give you points, which you have to be really good at sort of scouting for ways to convert these points into, a trip to a hotel with an airline. And it takes a lot of time, and frankly, my time is worth more than the time I would spend finding for these deals. So I think for me, it's just not worth it. And I'd rather have another card. I have another bank account, which actually gives me 1% in cash, in investments, every time I spend. So that's a way better option for me. It's not a credit card, it's a debit card, but for me, that works just fine. I don't need a credit card. So I'm going to delete it. And also, another thing is I'm actually really good with it, and I will actually pay my debt every month in full. But sometimes some people tend to not pay what they owe in full, and that actually compounds, and the interest rate on credit cards is insane. It's around 20%, and that actually compounds negatively against you. So to me, credit cards are just a no-no, and I will actually delete my American Express today if they answer the phone. So point six is not talking about your money with your partner. And the problem is, if you enter a marriage or a long-term relationship, studies show that about 20% of divorces actually stem from money issues. And that's because a lot of people might have mismatched priorities. You might be a saver, they might be a spender, and that's just not good. You just have misaligned objectives in life. Also, you might not know about hidden debt that they have or financial habits that can cause resentment in the long run. So you want to talk about these things as soon as you can, as soon as it's not awkward to talk about these things anymore, because they're really important and they could be the reason of your ruin. Matter of fact, a lot of colleagues of mine, older colleagues of mine that I've spoken to, are against marriage because they live through terrible divorces that almost always involved money. So talking about money with your partner is absolutely crucial if you want to live a long life with someone accompanying you through it. So have open money conversation early about income, debts, savings, and just be transparent, and that will build trust in the long run. Like, for example, I had my ex-girlfriend. She was a spender. Like, obviously people can change, but if you see these red flags, just leave. Just find someone better. I mean, if you put €1 in her hand, she would spend it. If you put 1,000, she would spend it. If you put an infinite amount of money, she would find a way to spend it, which is completely misaligned with the way I think about money. And thankfully enough, I realized this really soon, and we thankfully, honestly, broke up, because down the line, this would have been, obviously, this is not the reason why we broke up, but this would have spelled complete disaster for me if I were to probably have married her or something like that. So thankfully, I didn't. Point seven is overspending on weddings and children, especially. I mean, right now, I don't have any children, but I understand parents that want to spend tens of thousands of dollars raising their kids, because raising kids is expensive, and especially because it's a once in a lifetime event, and kids deserve the best, and that's true. They deserve the best, and I think they deserve especially the best education, but they don't deserve the best education in the absolute sense. They only deserve the best education that you can provide them. But people tend to spend way more than they can on schools, on clothes, on education, and it adds up quickly. And it's just not good. I mean, I'm a full believer that investing in education is the best investment that you can make, especially as a parent, towards your kids. But if you can't afford something, you just can't afford it. So just set a realistic budget and stick to it. Don't overspend. You want to help as much as you can, but not more than you can. And the last point, I mean, I already touched this previously in the first point. It's not investing. The trap is that delaying your investing until you feel ready or more stable is not good. You may wait even until your 40s or later, losing precious years of compounding growth. And this is bad because compounding is actually exponential. You can't make up for lost time. So if you start as soon as you earn your first dollar, that's the best possible thing that you can do, even if it's not much, because you might never catch up someone who started putting a miserable amount of money but very early. You might never be able to catch up with that person, even if you put thousands. So it's very important that you do, especially because inflation silently erodes your cash savings. If you're saving cash, that's actually getting eroded by inflation. So what to do instead? Start as soon as possible, start with small amounts, and invest as much as much as you can. People say 10%, 20%, 5%. I think just spend, especially in the early days, spend as little as you can on your life and everything else, and invest as much as you can. So yeah, your 30s are a pivotal decade. You likely earn more than before, but the habits you build in your 20s are crucial. Whether overspending, buying status symbols, or avoiding investing, it will compound positively or negatively for decades. So I hope you make the best choices that you possibly can in your life. Thank you for listening to this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
Your team armed the bomb. Victory is within reach. Bomb incoming.